Welcome back to Powering Up Your Senses. Here's some thoughts for those parents and leaders and for those who are yet to explore and have this adventure. Today, we're talking about hearing. And I just want to highlight to you the importance of letting. Letting is a divine of God wanting to actually speak to us, and we know that he does. Gosh, one of the words of Jesus is word. He is the living word. But also we need to partner with that in letting us actually have ears open to pay attention, to give focus to him. It seems to me that we need both of those things. It's not completely divine and sovereign, and nor is it just always up to our will. But a lot of it is up to our will to listen and train ourselves to hear what he's saying. Imagine that your kids could be like Adam and Eve in the garden, even hearing the footsteps of God, because they were so familiar with his voice and his sounds. The other reason is faith comes from hearing, right? And that's so important, that faith is real to kids. It is not a sense of rules or traditions or religion, but faith is real, and it's a living relationship. We can only have a living relationship when there is a two-way conversation going on. There's us talking, but there's also us hearing and being familiar with the person that we are talking with. How we're going to just break this down today is show kids that they can hear in so many ways. Often kids are very concrete thinkers, and they will think hearing, oh no, they're going to hear a bell, or they're going to have a loudspeaker come out, or their mobile phone's going to ring and send them a text message from God. But the reality is God chooses lots of ways to reveal himself, and we need to get familiar with some of those ways. Obviously, up here, the Bible is one of them. Sounds, music, seeing, smelling. Also, what about colours? You know, God painted beautiful colours in the sky to speak to us of his great love and his protection and promises. In fact, Scripture says that he is revealed in creation. So we should be paying attention to that. Angels are sent on assignment. In fact, I know so many children who've actually heard messages from angels and seen angels. It is not uncommon as you think, and it's very common. Hearing numbers is a great way that often God speaks to us, and they then become like part of solving a puzzle, or you like a secret code, and asking kids what the numbers might mean. It might be a date, it might be a place. I know a person who gets numbers, and they're usually coordinates on a map, and that actually guides and directs him where he's meant to go. Sometimes I've had numbers to refer to Bible verses that I need to read or share with others. And sometimes I've had numbers that are dates. Dreams. This is a big one for me. I'm a big dreamer, and God speaks to me regularly through dreams. And I have created a dream journal just for kids and families, so kids can start to record their dreams and process their dreams and start to understand what it is he's saying. Up here is the envelope. That represents words of knowledge. And like Cecilia was telling me the other day about how she actually was looking for a degree she'd done in the past, and couldn't find the bit of paper with the degree until she got a clue from God and got a word of knowledge of where to go looking for her degree. And I've heard that happen lots of times, even with children, things they've lost and God's given them a word of knowledge. A word of knowledge that someone is sick and has a disease in their body, and that children can go and pray for them. And words of knowledge really mean information given to us supernaturally that we would not otherwise know. Here's a great story for you. My kids and a friend were playing in my backyard, digging a cubbyhole with shovels and building a fort, and they wanted to borrow my husband's tools out of the shed. Yeah, warning signs right there, hey? Time for packing up. And they had to bring all the tools back inside the shed, right? Well, they couldn't find a tool. And so they didn't know what to do, and they knew that it was serious. So they prayed and asked God to show them where that tool was. And one of the boys got a word of knowledge where it was. They found it, and all the tools came back to the shed. So it is handy, kids actually being able to hear from God. This one down here with the light bulb is impressions, and that's one that we're going to be decoding with the kids and letting them understand. It's more of an internal sense or a feeling that can pop up for us. So This is not an exhaustive list. This is not to define all the ways that God talks, but just help kids understand that it's diverse, and what they might already be experiencing is actually God talking to them. There's some research that shows that 70% of kids under the age of 7 are already having spiritual experiences. And so there's a good chance that your kids are having spiritual experiences, and you just need to help train them, equip them, realize they're from God, and have a biblical frame of reference. And of course, when we talk about faith and risk go hand in hand. When you're encouraging your children to actually begin to discern and they're practicing, validate them having a go, and it really requires having faith to just give it a go sometimes, and don't second guess it too much. We encourage kids to go with the very first thought, picture, impression that pops up, and just see where it goes. It's usually the beginning of a conversation. It's not usually the full stop in a conversation. Later on, you can also talk to your kids about, what does God sound like? Well, he sounds like the fruit of the Spirit. And you can read that to your kids. Also, in Psalm 29 is an amazing psalm that talks about the voice of the Lord and how powerful and creative his voice is. And that's also a great way to let kids understand that his voice is powerful, it's strong, and it's mighty as well, and it creates. And that's also why it's so important to actually explore what the voice of God is and hearing him. Have fun listening and leaning in with God.